Thank you all for being here today. I'm Elizabeth. I work at Edible Issues. We started Edible Issues in 2018, looking at the food system and asking questions for very selfish reasons. I'm a cook by profession and wanted to know more about where my food comes from and before it enters the kitchen and where it goes after. And through the last few years, we've been looking very specifically at what we call climate commodities, different ingredients around the food system that inform that look at the intersection of cooking, communities, and climate change. So tubers, camel milk, rice, coffee, and thanks to Wild Harvest and Rishabh, Mahua. So we started a project together called Mahua Matters to look into all kinds of Mahua matters, but to also talk about how Mahua matters and how the communities that forage and harvest Mahua matter. What is the future of this ingredient as it reaches very premier restaurants and hotels, and as we see new premium spirits, how as we move away from the alcohol connotations, what is it like as a food ingredient? How do flavors matter when it comes to talking about culture? So really excited to have all of you today for this conversation, and then the tasting around the table and continued conversation. Rishabh from Wild Harvest will start us off telling us a little bit about their work and the communities they work with, and also then introduce the film. Excited to spend the next 2 hours together talking about all things Mahua.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And hi, everyone. I'm Rishabh from Wild Harvest, and we're an early stage social enterprise focused on ethical harvesting uh, of Mahua flowers and also ethical, like marketing of the flowers as well. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a brief presentation and then lead into the film. So I would just like to start with a question. How many people here have eaten a Mahua flower before? And okay, great. And like drank the liquor before? Okay, cool. So Mahua is a magical tree, and this is one of my most precious moments with the Mahua tree. It was a day when we were coming back after putting camera traps for sloth bears again under a Mahua tree, and we stumbled across these two pairs of Mahua trees laden with fireflies. And as Mahua is known as a wish granting tree, as Mahua is known as a wish granting tree, I think this moment made me feel that's true. So just a quick few facts about Mahua, right? It's indigenous to the Indian subcontinent, and it's also known as a kalpavriksha or a wish-granting tree by many communities. And throughout this presentation, we'll be touching across these topics. So just again, a quick brief about the tree. Its scientific name is Maduka longifolia, variety latifolia. It's found in tropical dry deciduous forests, can grow up to 18 meters, is known by different names in different states, found in across 15 states in India. It flowers from March to May and fruits from June to August. So the flowers are used for food and drink, the fruits are edible, the seeds are used to make cooking oil as well as body oil. The leaves are used for cattle feed as well as making pattals, and the bark has been used for some medicinal properties. So there's a lot of biodiversity that thrives around Mahua. Here's a sloth bear foraging on the Mahua flowers in Jonha. So our work is in Jonha, a region in the Ranchi district. Um, and we've been working in Jonha for the past 10 years. So there are a lot of birds, animals, and a lot of biodiversity that thrives around the Mahua tree. And it's also very prevalent in art and folklore. This is a painting by Mr. Kailash Pradhan, a Gond artist of the Mahua tree. And this is a song you'll come across the song in the movie as well. Now, when we think of Mahua and it being such a beautiful tree and such a vast subject, here are some like important historical facts, right? The British banned the collection, storage, and sale of Mahua flowers through the Mahuara Act and the Abkari Act in the late 19th century. But Mahua also sustained communities in times of famine, not just the Great Bengal famine, but a lot of other times of scarcity. Mahua was used as a food ingredient. And it's sad that Mahua, in general perception, not just modern, but also a lot of communities that have been harvesting Mahua have only look at it through a liquor feed lens these days. So this is like the different stages of the Mahua flower, and these are some questions that like were pretty pertinent when we started working. Like, it comes under minor forest produce, but it's not just found in forests. It's found in field fringes. It's found in a variety of landscapes, right? When communities cleared forests for agriculture, Mahua trees were let be because, again, they added so much value. And over 7.5 million people are involved in collecting Mahua flowers in the country. So is it really a minor forest produce? Despite being abundant and an exceptional food ingredient, why are Mahua flowers not seen as food, be it by urban audiences or by the young community members in various communities we've interacted with in Jharkhand? And why is Mahua disappearing from diets in communities that harvest them? And again, why is the use of Mahua flower only restricted to liquor feed? These were some questions that got us to start thinking about the food use of Mahua. And when we started working, and we realized that one of the key reasons for that to happen is also the way the flower is harvested. Communities don't have the means to buy nets, or are not often supported by forest departments, or so they have no other option but to burn the leaf litter under the Mahua tree. This makes collection easier. What this leads to is the Mahua flowers falling on ash-laden ground, and where the flowers get contaminated, and are laden with ash, they lose a lot of nutritional and flavor when they fall. And you can look at the status of the flower. It is a delicate flower. Uh, and after that, it's sun-dried mostly in roads or in angans, again deteriorating the quality of the flower and making it fit only for liquor feed. You can see, and this Mahua flower will probably get sold for 10 to 15 rupees a kg in the market, because with unseasonal rains, the produce gets even further deteriorated. So what we started to do was, there are other people doing it as well in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, is we started collaborating with communities, holding focus group discussions, again restricted to the Jonha region in Jharkhand. And we started distributing sustainable harvesting kits in 2024. Once we did that, we started putting nets under the trees. We worked with 120 trees in the first year and 240 trees in the second year. The flowers start falling on the nets, which again saves communities a lot of time and energy, and also keeps the flower clean, and also reduces the need to burn the leaf litter, which causes forest fires. So you can see the flowers remain cleaner. And then again, we set up machans, and this year we set up dehydrators to sort of sun dry the flowers like how you sun dry coffee berries, And a simple technique like that helped us to improve the quality of the Mahua flowers in the fresh form and the sun dried form. And then we measure for moisture, and we store them properly, and then that's how we make it food grade, and then we send it across for lab testing. So that's the way we've been harvesting the Mahua flower to promote it as a food ingredient. So here's a tentative impact that we've had in 2 years of operation. Now, again, when we think of Mahua flowers, we might think of just one ingredient, but there's so much diversity in the flower. And indigenous recipes are also disappearing. In Jharkhand, we've come across two major recipes, which were recipes of sustenance, especially when we talk to communities. The elders remember eating this. One is Mahua Sija, and one is Mahua Latha. So we're also working with communities to revive and document traditional recipes. And also, you'll be surprised to know the younger generation had never put Mahua flowers in their mouth. Again, restricting my talk to Jonha. So our goal is to, again, like, promote it in local food systems, and also promote Mahua flowers as a global food ingredient. And we truly believe that, you know, ethically sourced mahua can unleash culinary community and conservation efforts in a big manner. And that's it from me. Now you'll be watching a film made by Green Hub Fellows, Ganesh, Tilgam, and Priyanshu Raj. They came to Jonha, to Deepatoli specifically, and made this film. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, looking forward to the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. And it's so nice to see so many of you here for the panel discussion on reviving Mahua from forest to future. I'm Sharmila Vaidyanathan, and I will be moderating this panel. I'm an independent science writer, and I work at the intersectionality of food, agriculture, and environmental conservation. And honestly, this is a dream panel for me because we not only get to explore the ecological significance of Mahua and the challenges on the ground, but also look at Mahua from the culinary lens and from the lens of folklore and fiction. So without further ado, I would like to welcome all the panelists on stage. Rishabh Lohia, you just heard about the wonderful work Rishabh and his team are doing at Wild Harvest. We also have with us Chef Hannah Sarangan. Hannah is a Goa-based chef, business owner, and a food consultant. And over the last decade, her work has spanned many countries. She works to spotlight local and seasonal ingredients through her menus. And over the last year, she's been working with the Wild Harvest team to do her magic with Mahua and make Mahua-centric recipes that will build awareness among consumers about Mahua as a food ingredient. And we also have Smriti Raghubalan. Smriti is a hospitality educator and academic author. She has worked as a food consultant, as a clinical dietitian, and as an editor and mentor. She is with us today because her novel, The Call of the Mahua, that is set in the 70s, weaves together food, folklore, and fiction to build a rich narrative. And we have Abhijit De. Abhijit is a conservationist and a researcher at A-Tree, Bangalore. Abhijit's research focuses on the interactions that indigenous communities in eastern India have with Mahua, and through projectmahua.com, he's also sharing stories about Mahua's ecological resilience and its role in forest-driven livelihood. Thank you all for being here. This is really wonderful. I want to kick off the discussion with Rishabh, something that you mentioned in your presentation. 7.5 million people work in Mahua collection. Now, what kind of role does Mahua play in their day-to-day lives, and how much of this narrative is known to the world outside?
Firstly, there was a report published by, I think, Odisha government, which said around 7.5 million people are involved with collecting of the Mahua flower. Abhijit would be a better person to answer this, but probably a lot more people are involved in collection of Mahua flowers. Mahua flowers are again seasonal, right? So they happen from March to May. So when that happens, it's not just an individual, but a whole household that is involved with Mahua collection. And that is one of the leanest times of the year as well, in terms of agriculture or income in general. So it forms a very integral part of income for communities that harvest now.
Mm-hmm. And how much? How much of this is known to the world outside, and how much do people understand Mahua's?
I don't think many people do. I think even people living around these villages and urban spaces probably don't know, and probably only have this connotation of Mahua as an intoxicant, and that's about it.
So, Abhijit, coming to you, I think, has this been sort of the starting point for you to research Mahua because you feel there is not enough data, and also scientific research has not focused on this minor forest product?
Yeah, so yeah, to start with your question first. So if I only look at the Central Indian belt, the tribal population is around 7 crore. So only 10% of them is around 70 lakh. So I think it's a misrepresentation or underrepresentation of how many people, how many lives are associated with Mahua. So 75 million, I mean 75 lakhs. 7.5 million, 75 lakh is underrepresentation. And the second thing, as you have asked regarding the data of Mahua, yes, when I started my work, it was around 2020 end.
Right.
When I started looking into Mahua, and thankfully, research, PhD level research questions developed.
Mhm.
At that time, I came across very few popular articles.
Mhm.
I can clearly remember two articles that influenced me a lot. One is by Monica Jha and Shriyam
Mhm.
on the story of Mahua, I guess.
Mhm.
And another was by Diya Kohli in Mint Lounge.
Mhm.
Mint Lounge.
Mint Lounge.
In these two papers, and there was only one peer-reviewed research paper that looked into the pollination of Mahua. That's by Mahendran and a group of researchers.
Mhm.
But otherwise, it was really vague. Like in 2019 or 2020, if you go and Google with the word Mahua,
Mhm.
you will end up with the Facebook pages where people name are Mahua. So Mahua tree was not there, and from there to till now, when I'm almost about to at the end of my research, I think I have to add one more chapter in my research paper how things have changed from 2019 to this far. So and efforts like Wild Harvest, you will find this kind of effort by social entrepreneurs, by community people itself are are mm, are coming up in different parts of India. So
Anna, over to you. So you've talked about how it is to work with an ingredient that has both a stigma attached to it and is also not widely considered a food ingredient, right? So tell us, as a chef, what has been your process working with Mahua?
So to start with, I had never really tasted mahua much as a food ingredient. I think I had only tried it once from a friend who had been traveling to Chhattisgarh. So the first thing Rishabh and I did when trying to map out our process was taste many different kinds of mahua. So he had brought, I don't know, like dozens of samples with him, and they were all so different from each other. And we sat and kind of broke down the different textures, flavors, like what it was maybe reminiscent, to us of. So yeah, we started that way, and we very, very quickly discovered and agreed that it's an extremely versatile ingredient with enormous potential. Like there's pretty much no limits with what you can do with it. So we were like, okay, how do we structure this for ourselves, so that we can stay focused and not kind of lose track of what we're trying to do. And so we thought, since there's so much stigma around the ingredient and also a lack of awareness, the best way to go about it would be to make it accessible for people.
Right.
Hone on what's familiar to people. What do people make in their day-to-day lives that could include mahua as an ingredient or substitute it for something else that they would normally make. So, for example, we made mahua chutney. We put it into even dosa batter when fermenting it. We made I made chicken curry with it, for example. So, and other desserts and things. So we also were thinking about food trends, what's trendy in the food industry, how do we get chefs to use it in a way that doesn't intimidate people. So
Right.
that was kind of the beginning of our process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Smriti. So I think when you wrote the call of the Mahua, you definitely did not expect that one day you'll be part of a panel discussion.
Not at all.
Not really.
Not at all.
So I think for the benefit of this audience, could you tell us how Mahua became such a central aspect to your story?
Yeah. First of all, I always say thank you to Mahua Matters. And today I would like to thank Rishabh also, because he told me that he came across the book and he read the book and then he suggested my name to Mahua Matters team. So my father is from Jharkhand, and he tells lots of stories about that place to us. And he's in the army, retired from the army. And in Jharkhand, it seems they had 50 mahua trees around their house, and they owned those mahua trees. And early in the morning, his aunt, his Mosi, used to accompany other women, and they used to collect mahua, and the children used to tag along, and how he used to study under the mahua trees and all. And I always wondered why there is no mahua around wherever he has been posted and all. And he always spoke about them. So in Command Hospital, once we were there for his consultation, and then he suddenly, in one of the lanes here in Bangalore, he says, I can smell mahua. It's around. So I was like, I was thrilled. I forgot about his consultation and I said, let's go and look for that tree. And then slowly, I always wanted to write a romance novel, being a fan of Jane Austen and that kind of genre. So once I had a break from my academic assignments, I said, and it was COVID time. So everybody, I think, followed their hobbies, right? Sitting at home. So I did so. And let me tell you, within 2 months, I wrote this novel, but the research took about 3 months. The novel came about in 2 months because every day my family wanted a reading. They wanted it every day. So I had to sit in the night and write, and then in the evening I had to narrate. So that's how the novel came about.
So wonderful to know. So Rishabh, going back to you, you've in the movie as well, we see, and you've talked about it quite often, food grade mahua. Now the emphasis on food grade and how it is collected is such an essential part of this whole process. Why is that important, and how does that matter in the way we will start using mahua as we move forward?
Right. So Mahua has always been food, right? It was food centuries ago, but there was a period in time where it stopped being food in many communities. Even communities that harvest Mahua, the young generation from wherever we've interacted in Jharkhand, have stopped eating Mahua as food, right? So that is one. Also, communities used to know which tree has the best flowers for eating, for example, right? Which is the sweetest tree in the village. Like people knew that. So that has disappeared. And that is one. So that's the local food system side. But if you look at the mahua, which you saw in the film also, when it's harvested on burnt ground, and then when it's dehydrated on roads, it's just not fit for food. I've also got some mahua from the market of Ranchi, because mahua is widely available and we can see that when we're out on the table as well. You will never put that flower in your mouth as food. So that's where harvesting and post harvesting of mahua becomes very important if we want to promote it as a food ingredient. Because if you're not giving a good quality food ingredient to people, they might try it once, but then they'll never go back to it. So the reason Mahua is not explored as food in urban audiences, I believe, is because there's not many people doing the right harvesting and post-harvesting of Mahua. As Abhijit said, there are efforts which have started in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Specifically, there are 4-5 efforts which are commendable and which have started. So yeah.
Abhijit, tell us a little bit about how mahua is such an important from an ecological aspect as well. You're studying birds that frequently interact with the mahua tree and various other animals. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so interestingly, as I said that in 2018, I came across only one paper that talks about the ecological part of Mohan, which is the pollination part of it. So these paper looked at different pollinators and they found out that 3 to 4 species of fruit bats. Yeah, bats, again, COVID time, bat get all the bad names, but it is actually is not that bad. Bat are there for good. So bats do pollinate moha flowers and bats also disperse the seeds. So my research looks into the dispersion and regeneration of moha trees altogether. So thankfully I got a very good starting point, though the ecological aspects, research on ecological aspects were very less. But at least it told me that these bats are the pollinators and the seed dispersers as well. Now, other than that, when I'm looking into the ecological aspects of it, I was wondering why there are no more other research papers. Honestly, I don't have that answer, but what I came across in my research is that uh, Mahua flowers, particularly, are to some extent still famous, I'll say, in comparison to fruits. Now, when it comes to flowers, there are different flowers like parakeets, green pigeon. These are the birds forage extensively on mahua flowers, and these are the same birds who also forage on mahua fruits. Now, interestingly, as an ecologist or a student of ecology, I can expect that these birds will be there to forage on the fruit or the flower. But I got astounded by looking at the different kind of birds that feed on insects are also frequenting this tree. So just imagine I came across around at least 20 different species of birds during the fruiting season who is coming, the birds are coming to the flower, I mean the tree, to feed on insects. So now you can imagine how many insects are there in that tree. So, and then we have sporadic information like as we have seen in the video that porcupines are there, bears are there, there's stories of elephants are there. For a few years back, we came across a news piece that is telling that somewhere in Orissa, few elephant got drunk on Maholika. So that's a funny story. I'm not going into that detail, but yeah, it tells you the connectivities. It tells you that the bats are ecological keystone species. Now, let me quickly touch upon the keystone idea. The keystone idea is that when a species is relatively lesser in number, but you remove that species from the ecological ecosystem, the entire ecosystem is collapsed. Now, bat is one of the keystone species. Now, if bat in the lean season is being supported by mahua, you can just imagine that how much impact the tree must have. But unfortunately, we don't have that much of well-grounded research yet to look at different aspects of it. Uh, One of my work is looking into the avian community only, but of course, it's a huge thing. Like mahua is magic, so.
And I believe, Rishabh, you're still looking for a sloth bear that is frequenting. You still haven't managed to spot it. No. So, so there you go. So, Hannah, coming back to you, you've said in your previous sort of conversations about Mahua that yes, Mahua is known for its sweet taste, but through your tasting and testing, you found that it has various flavor profiles, right? So, how was that incorporating it into foods? You've talked about what foods, but that instant connection to sweet, does that mean we can never use it for savory, or are you also trying to expand Mahua's repertoire?
Like you'll experience in the table outside, there are a variety of different ways that you can use it. It's definitely not confined to sweets. I guess it would be most comparable to a raisin. That's the quickest thing that people think of when they taste mahua. So I guess anywhere you would use a dry fruit or a raisin, you could use it. So in like a pulao or even as an aromatic, right? That's why I said chicken curry before. And it's got a robust, like not just flavor, but body as well. So it adds a lot of richness to any dish that you put it into. So yeah, we even had like certain mahua had woody flavors or like even mushroomy flavors or like a milky mouthfeel. So yeah, there's just so many different uses. And as Rishabh was saying, the food grade is really important because, as we know, it's super diverse and there's a huge range of different experiences you can have with tasting it. So if we want people to use it as a food ingredient, consistency is really important. So the way you treat it and process it from the sources is crucial. Yeah.
So, Smriti, again, back to the fiction aspect of it. You're seeing all these conversations, and how do you see like fiction is emerging as an important tool to make us aware about climate and environmental issues? So, do you see that the awareness is more now as opposed to when you wrote The Call of the Mahua, and how do you see this evolving?
Check. Okay. How many of you know Ratatouille? Ratatouille? Yeah, most of you. Okay. And Bao, again, let's say 50%. Yeah. So Ratatouille, I think you know because of the film. Before that, did anybody hear of Ratatouille? No. Okay,
Chef is
very few.
nodding.
Okay, so somebody wrote a story, and the whole world came to know about Ratatouille. And somebody made a beautiful animation short film on Bao. If you haven't seen it, please Google for it and see it. It'll bring you to tears, you know, about a Bao. So if Ratatouille and Bao can go global, why not Mahua? It deserves to go because it is the only flower. During my research, I found this out. It is the only flower in the whole world which is used to make viably, which is used to make alcohol viably, right? So it deserves to go. And fiction is a very good medium. See, when we say fiction, it is not only books. You can turn fiction into short films, you can turn fiction into videos, animation, books. So everybody can view it in their own interest, you know. So the authors really have to come out and take all these kind of indigenous products to the masses, right? So target audience is a very crucial thing. So what is Gen Z reading nowadays? So what is Gen Z reading nowadays? Any idea? So they, yeah. So yes, excellent. I wanted to arrive at that. Are they reading? Most of them are not, but those who are really into something called as cli-fi, that is climate fiction, right? And a lot of them are into romantasy, romantic plus fantasy. So it's and folklore. That's why Sudha Murthy is doing so well. She, weaves such beautiful stories around folklore. So why not? It's high time we had a superhero from the tribes. Based on, his name could be based on Birsa Munda. And he could, do wonders with Mahua potion, something magical made of out of Mahua. And, it will be truth because it is so, so, so nutritious, right? So it's a very strong medium. Fiction is a very strong medium to, if authors take up different ecological issues and turn it into a beautiful story, right? So I feel it's a wonderful medium. It's only you have to see the target audience where if they are stuck in their phones, give them a video, animated video, or a normal video or a podcast or whatever they consume. Yeah,
absolutely. A superhero who gets their energy from Mahua. Yeah. So I think Smriti brought a very important aspect, which is Mahua's alcohol, which has been a boon and a bane for Mahua. So I would like to ask both Rishabh and Hannah. So the alcohol aspect of Mahua is very central to the communities that interact with Mahua, yet it has also stigmatized Mahua, right? So to break that stigma, I understand food grade Mahua is important, but how do you see the message spreading? How do you see people, first of all, approaching food grade Mahua and using it?
So I think in terms of Mahua, okay, so I think there is two kinds of Mahua the way I see it, right? One is already going for liquor feed. Now you have to understand, I think India produces over 1 lakh tons of Mahua flower, dried Mahua flowers every year. And this is again the flowers that go into country liquor production. Now, earlier, communities used to distill their own Mahua drink. It was used in rituals, it was used in multiple occasions, right? But now, if you look at the alcohol business of Mahua, it's also very layered. It's not straightforward, right? There are illegal businesses, there are like multiple things happening where the community is not benefiting from the liquor. Second, alcohol cannot afford to pay a premium price for good quality feed, right? So for them, it doesn't matter if the mahuas turned, black, or, like they're very price sensitive, especially when you're like selling country liquor, right? So I think that's where food grade mahua comes in, because the way we see it, first, the nutrition side of mahua, which Smriti ma'am just said right now, right? If you look at the nutritional profile of mahua, it is exceptional. If you compare it to dates or to raisins or figs or blueberries or cranberries, exceptional level of vitamin C, iron, potassium, calcium, vitamin Bs. So traditionally, it was used for uh, motherhood, for childbirth, for various things, right? For energy throughout the day. So I think if mahua has to be seen as food, it has to be harvested a certain way, right? Only then will people have the like will start consuming it as food. So I think there's already a big market for liquor. Now there are companies coming in like a Six Brothers Mahura, or there was JD Mahua, which is there. There's a Maha Spirit. So alcohol is also should be explored. But what Madhya Pradesh did really well was the heritage liquor, right? Where communities were at the center of it. Only SHGs were allowed to manufacture this liquor. But how long can you sustain that? Right? Like if it doesn't sell, it fails, right? So that's why we believe when mahua is seen as food, or it's harvested in a food grade manner, that's when conservation and community efforts can be reinforced.
And go hand.
Yeah, it can go hand in
And from my perspective, I think how we consume mahua is extremely important, or as consumers, how we consume any food ingredient and the ethics around that is really, really important. It's a matter of appreciation versus appropriation. And like take turmeric, for example, right? Now it's extremely popular as a health ingredient all over the world.
Yeah.
And there's like the cultivators of it have been exploited environmentally, community wise, labor wise, and even market wise, right? Like in this country, what are we left with? What quality of turmeric are we left with? It's often adulterated. So, like that, we've been kind of approaching it in a way where we don't want that to happen with mahua, which is why we try and keep the community central and also our home kitchens central. So when we present it to people, it's like I was saying before about accessibility. It's something that people can adopt and integrate into their own lives rather than look as something that, oh, that's for somebody who's an expert or another person to do, not me, So I think that's really, really critical as well.
So do you see that happening with mahua becoming an integral part of day-to-day recipes like rotis, parathas, all of that?
That's what we're trying to
That's
do.
what you're
Yeah.
trying to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So coming to the
So
research,
before you ask the next question, I'd like to quickly add on what Hannah just touched
please
upon.
do. Yes.
So as I can see that mahua may going to have its chocolate moment or the coffee moment.
Mhm.
So chocolate has its own history of exploitation. The same thing, if the way we are starting right now, the way different organizations are looking at mahua right now, if we don't take very conscious effort right now, mahua may have its chocolate moment in terms of exploitation. Let me quickly add upon to you. I was also looking at mahua seeds, and mahua seeds is just like the mahua flower, mahua oil is another great component. I came across a business who wanted to buy mahua seeds at 35 rupees per kg. And to make mahua seed, to take the mahua seed at a stage where you can simply crush it and get the oil is a back-breaking job. People by themselves can get somewhere around 50 rupees roughly of the price, but these business interests wanted to buy it at 35 rupees. And the logic, they are saying that we are going to get it in bulk. It doesn't matter whether you are getting 100 kgs from them or 1000 kgs of them, it matters per unit. So the exploitation angle she has just touched upon, it's very, very crucial. And I'm glad, the little bit of interaction I do had with Wild Harvest, I think I found that consciousness with them. But I'm expecting, as I said, that there are other organizations as well. I'm just hoping that people will not repeat the same mistake again. So it's very crucial. All of us need to be aware of it. As Edible Issue says that where the food is coming from, similarly, it's a responsibility of the consumer as well, where the food is coming from, where the flour is coming from, where the oil is coming from. So yeah.
Abhijit, just to add to what you said, right? In the case of Mahua flowers, I think it's already being exploited.
Yeah.
And it's already being exploited because it's already a relevant market product or a commodity in every local mandi. So people are already buying it in 5 rupees, in 10 rupees, in 30 rupees from communities, right? So it's not a case of this new commodity which no one's selling is all of a sudden starting to sell, but there is already a massive market for it. And I think communities are already being exploited in terms of the Mahua flower economy. And when we think of food grade, there is a lot of possibility of them getting better prices, saving a lot of time and energy, and in general being in a better off position than it being used as liquor feed.
So actually, the kind of exploitation is there right now. It is within community. I'll still say that. So that's majority of the Mahua flower which is coming from them is going back to them, where the middlemen are buying it at 5 rupees, 10 rupees per kg. And when they're selling it, they're probably selling at 35, 40, 45, 50 rupees per kg. It is still within the community. Now, being us, be very careful over here. Being us, the outsider, we cannot afford to make the same mistake. That's the point.
Agreed. But again, if you really look into it, right, where does the Mahua go? It's not within the community. It goes to Odisha, where country liquor manufacturing is legal. It doesn't come back into a circular economy form, unfortunately.
I mean, still, country liquor cannot be made legally other than the Adivasi people. The point you have said that it is going back to Orissa. I forgot which case.
I just want to add the liquor laws vary from state to
Exactly.
state, and
Right.
honestly, it is very, very,
Very
confusing.
layered, very
It's
difficult.
very
Yeah.
difficult to sort of say this is the norm. So
Correct.
that's
It's very tricky. It's a very,
very tricky.
informal, unorganized economy.
very unorganized.
But Odisha, Abhijit, country liquor manufacturing is legal with Mahua.
Yes, yeah.
In
You need to get
Odisha.
the, yeah,
In
you need to
Jharkhand,
get the
it's
license
illegal.
and all. Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
So where it is legal to manufacture liquor, produce actually ends up going there. It's
Right.
not that it's coming back to the community to make their own Mahua liquor.
No, what I am saying, you are making Mahua with license, but you are non-tribal, cannot consume it. Only the country liquor law says that, which is again very difficult. It varies across the states. Only a tribal person can produce it, and only a tribal person can consume it. You cannot legally consume Mahua liquor. Though we have done
No,
it,
no.
but
I
that's a
just want to
different thing.
add, yes, it is honestly very confusing. Mahua's alcohol history, the past, the present, it's always sort of grappling with trying to forge an identity outside being a spirit. And Mond, which is a heritage liquor produced by the scheduled tribes in Madhya Pradesh, it is produced in a manner that it is FSSAI certified, and it is sold within Madhya Pradesh because it has a tax subsidy. So, but honestly, this discussion will take us many hours because there are so many different layers to it. There is culture, there is who gains, who profits from it. There's also gender because women do a lot of the collection and distillation. So we will table it for edible issues another time. Yeah.
Are there commercially viable plantations of mahua trees, like a tea plantation, or does it all grow as wild trees? And people go around, kind of collecting them, etc. Is that?
So actually, we don't need a plantation right now. We have enough trees, of course. So the plantation we don't need. Full stop. We do have enough wild trees. Yeah.
Now a lot of Mahua flowers are going waste.
So there are already lakhs and lakhs of trees around India. Yeah, it's not a plantation, but it's a forest produced, like it's a forest tree, but it's also found in field fringes, you know.
So if you look at where the trees are, you can start from a forest fringe village and you can start walking towards the forest. That's where you will get to see most of the mahua trees. And one mahua tree, say around, can produce 75 to 80 kgs of mahua flower, dry mahua flower. And with, have you ever estimated with 1 kg of mahua flower how many laddus you can prepare?
How many?
Huh?
I mean, not the laddu calculation, but the fresh mahua flowers, 100 kgs of fresh mahua. 100 kgs of fresh mahua flowers gives around 25 kgs of dried mahua flowers. So if a old tree or a big mahua tree is producing 80 kgs, it's probably giving around 240 kgs of fresh mahua flowers.
So just to put it into the
Yeah.
context, we have tried with mahua laddu a little bit. With 1 kg of mahua flour and with additional stuff, you can come across around 240 to 200 pieces of laddus. So 20 boxes you can take roughly. Now, even if I think of a scale, there is still enough trees and flower and people to supply you that much of flower. So that's where the beauty of mahua, where community can really do well if there is no evil angle to it. So
The researcher prefers to do his counting in laddus. Anybody else?
Yeah.
You had a question.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing with the indigenous people and the discussion that we're having today. I got mahua pickle from a farmer's market, and I think it was close to 350 bucks or something for like 100 grams. And I thought it's an expensive flower. My question is it affordable? If not, how do you intend to make it affordable and accessible to all the economic classes in the country and not just to a particular people, who can buy through discussions like this? Because if it is nutritious and if it can give a lot of if it can expand the life of people over there, then how do we make it accessible to everyone in the country and not just to certain people? That is my question.
That's a great question. And I think, again, in terms that there are two efforts, right? First is to revive it in local food systems. So where a household would sell most of its mahua flowers during mahua season, we're starting to encourage people to keep mahua flowers to themselves so they can make mahua laddus, mahua achar, etc., and have it in their day-to-day or also generate income through selling those flowers, right? So that is one. So like one laddu can be 5 rupees or 10 rupees, a mahua laddu with other things, right? 5 10 rupees to 20 rupees maybe for a laddu, where the community or the SHG earns a decent income as well. And in terms of us, obviously the goal is to eventually make it a food ingredient in kitchens across stratas. But to begin with, it's also hard because it's such a new food ingredient, right? So there are a lot of costs involved with marketing, with education, with awareness, because no one knows mahua. So, firstly, how do we get it on someone's plate? Especially because most of the time, if we ask someone, would you like to eat a mahua flower? They would be like, will I get high by eating this flower? So I think it's a slow process. I think our effort is to make not very expensive products, but like a 250 gram of mahua flowers can last you 1 to 2 months, right? So that's the way we see it. It's obviously not super cheap or super affordable, but over time, I think as more and more organizations start doing this, it should hopefully reach kitchens and plates across stratas.
Just to add on to what Rishabh was saying, you can kind of compare it to the millets revival movement. Like similar to Mahua, millets were kind of discarded by the British or, through like caste discrimination, and it was considered a food for only certain sects of society. And in fact, they're so nutritious and so climate resistant, and it makes sense in so many different ways to cultivate them and to eat them. So that took a lot of kind of uphill battle against these stigmas to revive. And then now, and I think when we saw the trend of that revival kind of peaking, millets were kind of expensive, and now I think it's plateaued back to being like there's a wide range of different price points for millets that you can find across the country from different sources and processors. And I think similarly, Mahua could follow that kind of a trajectory.
Also add to that, if you know the thing is awesome, if you know the product is awesome, why are you shying away from buying it with a good price? The product is awesome. It's magic. Similarly, for the people to get the benefit, if we can afford it, why shouldn't we? So, yeah, of course. So as they said that over the time we can expect the price will go down because the initial stage is to break the barrier.
We have time for, I think, 2 more questions. So
I'll make it quick then. 2 queries. First is you mentioned that different types of mahuas are different textures and flavors. So is that a factor based on where the tree grew was planted, or is it like based on the life of the flower, something like that? And second is, as you rightly mentioned about exploitation, like we see with gig workers, in the absence of ironclad legislation around their work, like it's very easy to exploit it. So are there any efforts to involve the local governments to sort of not necessarily an MSP, but something around the same lines, which will ensure that they get a bare minimum value for their effort? Thank you.
So to answer the first part, we don't have answer. At least I don't have an answer because there isn't enough study for that. Second thing is we need to think about in that line. We mean me as an academician, Rishabh as a social entrepreneur, that how can we close that gap, fix that gap, that the scope of exploitation gets reduced or gets nullified altogether. Rishabh?
Sure. So in terms of your first question, as Abhijit said, no answers, but observations. So in like the region we work in, we worked with around 250 trees this year. Now we realize even trees next to each other might give very different flowers, right? And there were majority, we saw 2 kind of shapes in the flower. One was like a longish flower and one was a roundish flower. And the biggest flower, we call it the biggest, baddest mahua, was around 4 centimeters. So it was like a big flower that we found. And to the second question, there is an MSP. It comes under minor forest produce. There is an MSP, but the MSP is not fair. It's 30 rupees or 32 rupees now. There is already an MSP set by the government. Yeah. But there needs to be efforts to revise that. It's a very unfair MSP. And especially as you were saying, efforts, right? And that's where putting nets really reduces efforts. A lot of people die by heat strokes while collecting mahua flowers because it's such a time-consuming process to collect it from the floor. And along with that, yeah, like so many deaths due to heat strokes during mahua season. And yeah, the heat is at its peak, right, when the mahua flower is blooming. So yeah, definitely MSP needs to be revised, and a lot more researchers like Abhijit need to work on the flower and the.
one.
Yeah, hi. First of all, admiration for you, Rishabh, for the work that you guys are doing with Wild Harvest. And I'm glad you mentioned the millets movement. My question is similar to that. Is there any medicinal or superfood quality that Mahua flower brings? Because that is normally what is marketable to have an accelerated, growth for any food ingredient that is native. And they're becoming then popular, not just in India, but across the world.
We have a nutritional table outside that we can look at as well, where we've compared it. So in terms of, Abhijit can help me with this as well. Traditionally, because it's very high in vitamin Bs, B1, B2, B6, B9. So it was really used during pregnancy and post-pregnancy. It's rich in iron, potassium, calcium. It's a very wholesome ingredient if you look at it, right? It's got fats, it's got proteins, it's got carbs, it has sugars, a variety of minerals and vitamins. So it is a superfood in every sense of the word, though I cringe a bit while saying superfood, but it's okay. Like but yeah, it's actually very nutritious, and it is a whole food, right? So we can definitely show you like our reports and everything outside as well.
And also,
Right.
ma'am, to add to your point, there is a website called projectmahua.com. There is one section called repository where we have tried to put as many possible material on these aspects as well. So there is one section for the food chemistry and the phytochemistry on these things. So yeah, now we have to train the AI for that.
I think with that we can end this discussion. And thank you so much. I would really like to thank the panelists.